The Sugar Bowl offers it all. Iconic teams, a marquee coaching matchup, and do-or-die stakes in the first ever college football playoff. The Barons are in a bit of a slump. Not only did they lose 3 of 4 at Chattanooga, they're 2-6 in their last 8 games, and it doesn't get any easier tonight. In Week 1, Alabama and Auburn each play teams from the Power 5 conferences. This week, the Tide and Tigers get Florida Atlantic and San Jose State, respectively. Those teams are considered cupcakes, both sweet matchups for our in-state teams to devour. It was exactly 40 years ago, Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's home run record with number 715. Aaron finished his career with 755. That number topped only by Barry Bonds' 762. Tonight, the Mobile, Alabama native was honored before the Braves home opener.
You tell me you missed that, and I'll turn around and go back.
You know what, Julio? Get out of here! Well, the plot thickens for Lane Kiffin's return to Knoxville. We already had a negative political ad comparing Kiffin to a candidate for the Tennessee State House race. And now a barbershop in Knoxville claims Kiffin skipped out on paying $14 for a haircut. They marched and chanted with signs like this one, held high. But as news broke the football program would be shut down, those signs can now be picked up off the ground. All right, Bruce, you come into this job here at Auburn knowing there's a lot of work ahead of you. What made you think that this job here at Auburn was the right fit for you? Who's ready for the Iron Bowl?
Oh, yeah.
Who is your favorite college football team?
Alabama.
This 27-point loss against Georgia goes down as the biggest loss in the Gus Malzahn head coaching era. Talladega is known for surprises. After an hour of racing and 3 knockout sessions, Brian Scott will be the pole sitter for Sunday's Aaron's 499. The quarterbacks Auburn has played and beaten this year. A couple Heisman finalists, Johnny Manziel, A.J. McCarron, but the biggest challenge is about an hour from now, as you mentioned, Jameis Winston. Well, join me now to talk about the great rivalry, Alabama-Tennessee, former Vols tight end, defensive lineman Ed Butler. Thank you so much for joining the program today. Nick Saban grades quarterbacks in 3 areas: processing information quickly, protecting the football, and leadership. Blake Sims passed the test. The 5th-year senior led Alabama on 3 touchdown drives of an average of 84 yards. That gained the approval of coach and his teammates.
I'm just so proud of him right now. I told him first thing after the game, I'm proud of you, man. I thought he did an excellent job, just controlling the offense, leadership, and everything.
You know, if I had to grade him, I'll give him an A+. He did what he had to do out there.
So I just went out there and played, and the 10 guys that was out there, I let them know I had their back, and they also told me I had their back, and we just love one another. We want to get better.
The thought of pulling Sims did cross Saban's mind in the second quarter, not because of his play on the field, but the confusion in play calling.
That's when I said to Lane, I said, hey, let's just go no huddle, and it'll make it a lot simpler for him. And when we did that, you know, he sort of got it back together, and then he was fine after that. So, you know, that one little stretch in the second quarter where we got a little bit out of sync was really the only time, but I thought Blake did a really good job. This game was expected to be an audition for the starting job between Sims and Jake Coker. Coker only played the final 3 snaps. In Atlanta, Kyle Berger, Alabama's 13 Sports. Alabama's 3-game warm-up stretch of West Virginia, Florida Atlantic, and Southern Miss is over. It's now time to step into SEC play with the Florida Gators. The last time Bama lost an SEC opener, you have to go back to 1991 to guess who? Florida. Alabama's won the last 3 head-to-head matchups with the Gators. Bama's first offensive play of the game, Blake Sims finds Kenyon Drake wide open. Drake goes 87 yards for the score, the 4th longest touchdown pass in Alabama history. 7-0 Tide. Still in the first, Sims to, dare I say, a Heisman hopeful, Amari Cooper, a 79-yard touchdown. Bama would lead 21-14 at the half. Then in the third quarter, a little bit of trouble. Blake Sims in the pocket, he'll scramble, he'll pick up the first down and a little bit more, but watch as he falls awkwardly on his throwing shoulder. He would leave the game in some pain, so enter Jacob Coker. And Coker comes in and throws a touchdown to Amari Cooper. Bama leads 35-21. Oh, but Blake Sims would return to throw another touchdown pass to Cooper. Alabama wins 42-21. Bama's offense outgains Florida 645-200. Sims is only the 2nd quarterback in Bama history to throw for over 400 yards. Heisman Trophy winner Jameis Winston was benched for the entire Clemson game. The former Hueytown High School quarterback, originally suspended for the first half of the game for a vulgar outburst on campus earlier this week. But look at this. During pregame, Winston was in full pads warming up.
oops shortly after. He spoke with Coach Jimbo Fisher and went back to the locker room. He later reappeared wearing his jersey without pads and a baseball cap. Former Florida State head coach Bobby Bowden tells us Jameis needs to get his act together.
Dang right I'm worried.
The SEC has claimed 10 of the last 24 national championships in Division I baseball. Its alumni list includes Cy Young winners, MVPs, and All-Stars. You can now include its first Hall of Famer, former Auburn Tiger Frank Thomas, was inducted this afternoon in Cooperstown, New York, known as the Big Hurt. Thomas is the only player in baseball history with 7 straight seasons with a .300 batting average, 100 runs, 100 RBIs, 100 walks, and 20 home runs. The Big Hurt very emotional when speaking about the impact his late father had on him.
Thanks.
The Birmingham Barons enter the day a half game out of first place in the Southern League's North Division standings, but can make up some ground taking on the division leader, the Tennessee Smokies at Regents Field. A hot day, fans staying cool any way they can. First inning, Barons pitcher Mike Recchia gets Jae-Hoon Ha looking for the strikeout. Recchia goes 5 innings, striking out 3. Barons at the plate, 1 on for Trace Thompson, puts a charge into it deep into the gap, but Ha runs a country mile. Check out that grab. Nice play, but the Barons win this one 6-5 to pull ahead of the Smokies by a half game in the North Division. The newly inducted Braves numbers on the facade at Turner Field. Braves hosting the San Diego Padres. Tied at 1 in the 3rd inning, rookie Tommy La Stella comes through yet again, singles up the middle. That scores Andrelton Simmons. Later on in the inning, Ryan Doman drives in 2 more. Braves win 8-3. Still 1.5 games rather behind the Nationals in the NL East. Sprint Cup race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway might serve as the best indicator for NASCAR's champion. 8 times the Brickyard 400 winner has gone on to win the title that year. 17 laps to go on the restart. It's Jeff Gordon on the outside, this time driving right by Casey Kane to take the lead. Gordon would call it the restart of his life because on the final lap, Gordon all by himself pulls away for the win, his 5th win at the Brickyard, and for that his team, his family, they get to kiss the bricks. This victory comes on the 20th anniversary of Gordon's win in the inaugural Brickyard 400. Indeed, a crucial moment in the season with only 6 races until the chase for the Sprint Cup. Here's a look at the driver's standings. Jeff Gordon. It was a shake-up Saturday in the SEC. 3 SEC West games, 6 ranked teams. The lower seed won 2 of the 3 games. We begin with number 3 Alabama, number 11 Ole Miss. This is the Crimson Tide's first true road test of the season. Bama leading 7-3 in the second quarter. The Tide defense making a play. Cyrus Jones strips Itavius Mathers. Cyrus scoops and scores. 14-3 Alabama led at halftime. It got a little crazy in the fourth quarter. Bama leading 17-10. Bo Wallace to Vince Sanders for the touchdown, and we're all tied at 17. Then Alabama's Christian Jones on the ensuing kickoff. He fumbles it away. The Rebels recover, and that leads to points. Wallace to Jalen Walton, and Ole Miss leads 23-17. The extra point was no good. That gives Alabama some hope. Under a minute to play, Blake Sims, he's going for the end zone, but the pass is intercepted by Senquez Golson, and that is your ball game. Alabama loses 23-17. The Tide have now lost its last 3 games against ranked opponents. Tom Menino has more from Oxford. Well, the seniors at Auburn get one last chance to beat LSU. Number 5 Auburn has lost the last 3 and 6 of the last 7 in the series against number 15 LSU. The only win was 2010 during Cam Newton's Heisman season. Auburn got off to a fast start. Nick Marshall deep to Sammy Coates. He drags the defender with him. A 56-yard touchdown pass, 7-0 Auburn. Auburn leading 17-7 in the second quarter. Marshall rolls out, finds tight end C.J. Uzama. Tigers up 24-7. Marshall, he's shown he can pass. Now he proves he can run the ball. Just before halftime, Marshall takes it 29 yards for the touchdown. Look at these numbers for Marshall. 207 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. 119 yards rushing, 2 more touchdowns. Not a bad day's work. Auburn wins 41-7. Don Haas has more from Auburn.